an open letter to Matt Dillahunty by the members of the Vegan Atheist Forum. This three-part video attempts to address Mr. Dillahunty's arguments and fallacies as presented on the Atheist Experience TV Show. In this second part, we address an absurd non sequitur. Point 2. The most creatively absurd non sequitur. A shark can eat you?
What I am willing to do, though, is afford the same rights to eat me to the animals that I eat. When a shark decides to attack me because it's hungry and wants some food, I'm not going to say that it's immoral or unethical of the shark. It's the natural way that sharks are. I realize that to most ethical vegans that is a lame cop-out, but I'm fine with it, actually.
First off, you talk about rights, and this has to be gotten out of the way. Rights are a social convention, not a moral one. The notion of moral rights comes from deontology, not consequentialism, and is the dogmatic opposition to rational ethics that deals only in absolutes, and which ignores the highly context-sensitive nature of ethics. As an atheist and methodological naturalist, you should take more seriously the arguments of consequentialists like Peter Singer, and less deontologists like Gary Francione, who is a woo. All deontologists are woos because absolute deontological authority is inherently an appeal to woo. Look back to Kant on that one. We cannot justify treating any sentient non-human as our property, as a resource, as a thing that we can use and kill for our purposes. The deontological view is absolute, no justification, no matter what. One mouse in a research lab to save billions of human lives is unacceptable to a deontological vegan. If you're judging veganism by what the deontological fringe say, you are indulging in a straw man argument. That's not what most people actually believe, and it's certainly not what's rational. If you want to discuss this at more length, we can, but suffice it to say that a lot of vegans are also confused on that point, partially due to the popularity of non-rational advocates like Francione. And that only goes to show that veganism doesn't always mean atheism or critical thinking in itself. When you hear somebody talking seriously about rights, and it's not either a political discussion or mere turn of phrase, they are probably not representing the rational consequentialist view. That said, are you seriously representing the idea that it's moral for you to eat other species because you wouldn't judge other species for eating you? Because that's a pretty strong declaration of moral subjectivism, and you might not realize it. Here's the more general form of what you said. It's moral for subject A to do X to subject B, if subject A wouldn't judge subject B for doing X to subject A. That's like a rapist saying it's okay to rape other people because he wouldn't judge somebody for raping him. A thing does not become moral for you to do based on your claimed lack of judgment against others for doing it to you, whether that's another individual, another group, or another species, etc. The line drawn here is truly arbitrary. Are you really fine with people using that kind of bad reasoning to guide their ethical principles? It is at best a weak defense against a certain kind of hypocrisy, but it's not a moral justification. And it's a weak defense against hypocrisy in your case because 1. It's not the same situation. A shark has neither a sense of rational moral judgment nor a choice in the matter. Context is everything in ethics. It would be the same kind of situation if you said you wouldn't judge another person for killing and eating you, a person with a sense of conscience, and the choice and ability to not kill and eat you without suffering any great loss of well-being. If you want to assume some irrational speciesism, arbitrarily requiring the eaten and eater to be across a species barrier for no good reason, then you'd have to make it an extraterrestrial being of some kind. And yet, don't you find deity's demands for human sacrifice morally questionable? That's pretty alien. Shouldn't it be okay for a god to demand human sacrifices, as long as the god wouldn't overtly judge a meta-god for demanding god sacrifices? 2. Even if you framed it correctly and consistently, it's not true. You do not consider other people reasonable or ethical when they behave by those standards. Shouldn't you be on board with Muslims' right to kill apostates because they themselves wouldn't mind being killed for leaving Islam? or if they wouldn't judge people of other religions killing their own apostates. In order to avoid hypocrisy on that point, you can't just not judge the shark. You can't judge anybody who does to others any specific action they claim they wouldn't mind done to themselves. Because fundamentalists consider their actions to be just and wish to be held to the same standards themselves, that kind of twisted standard makes judging the evil actions of fundamentalists impossible. Moral subjectivism will get you nowhere fast, and being able to judge people as immoral only when they have behaved hypocritically is a great way to make your moral system pretty much useless against fundamentalism. Don't forget to check out part 3 of this open letter to Matt. The letter in its entirety can be found on TheVeganAtheist.com. If you would like to see a response from Mr. Dillahunty, please consider sharing this video with others on Facebook, Twitter, and Google+, and perhaps it can be brought to his attention. The more exposure these videos receive, the more likely Matt will notice them and feel compelled to respond. Looking for a great place to communicate with vegans, atheists, theists, and non-vegans from across the globe? Consider joining the Vegan Atheist Forum. Our growing community is always looking for new members with whom we can share our experiences, debate issues, discuss, and learn from each other. This letter is the first forum collaboration, so if you would like to be a part of future projects, find us at TheVeganAtheist.com/forum.